September 13th, 2016. Things are changing fast here in north central Florida, guys. You've got, as of 31 minutes ago, this latest 2 p.m. Bulletin says 40% chance now of cyclone formation within 48 hours. I was concerned once it came across that Gulf Stream, that's exactly what it was going to do, and it looked like it this morning. But it says it indicates that an area of low pressure is located just inland near Daytona Beach. The system continues to produce a large area of showers and thunderstorms with winds to tropical storm force along or just offshore of portions of the northeast Florida coast. The Gulf Stream again. This system is very close to having the organization required of a tropical cyclone, guys, and advisories could be initiated later this afternoon. The low is expected to move north by northwestward at 10 to 15 miles an hour. We're going to look at the track. Now, that's Tropical Storm Ian that's kicking back up into the North Atlantic. But the third storm here on the 5-day forecast continues to come towards the United States. Now, notice there with, if we go back to the storm over Florida, they don't have a lot of tracking information from NOAA. But these particular spaghetti models do, and again, this was the update 33 minutes ago now. Every one of them has it inland. You've got 3 models that carry it straight up into Georgia, with one coming slightly offshore at the exact spot that Hermine came across, guys. And then cutting back up, a couple of the other ones show it bouncing along the coast and then curving north. Let's look at the Canadian models. This is very interesting. Couple things I'll point out. Notice your timestamp at the bottom. Today's the 13th. It shows the storm over Florida, the low pressure that we're watching over the Gulf. But this does a recurve. Watch it, guys. It goes out offshore, comes back down in a lower section of Florida than it went across, and goes back into the Gulf. This has happened before. Storms have come up through the Panhandle, went back out into the Atlantic, and because the low pressure system high pressure system was coming out of the northeast, it recurved the storm back down. And watch that. It's exactly what the models are showing this one doing. Right there, it's centered back by September 21st over central Florida. It looks like it comes across just north of the Everglades. Then you've got the 2 storms building back off of Africa. It's only showing 1. They're predicting 2. But the next update, guys, I wanted to get this up. I'll show you a couple tracks from previous hurricanes that have done the exact thing. Now, this is your 1K close-up high-definition satellite imaging. And you can see how it's skirting along the coast. Now, and we'll look at the latest radar images, and you can see they're right. It has come inland now. So what we got, because it's getting large, we have the right side of the storm in the warm section of the Atlantic over the Gulf Stream. The feeder bands to the left are going to be pulling from the very hot water in the Gulf of Mexico. That's why some of the models have this thing bouncing along the Florida coast, the Alabama coast, and turning north. Now, if we look at the radar very closely, you can see out offshore where the tropical storm force winds are already. That's where the largest amounts of the rain and storms are. But if you pull it up, you can see the eye has come inland. Right there, guys, just that last little bit of rotation. But again, as you saw those large billowing thunderstorms, that is where those feeder bands are over the Gulf Stream. Now, the system in the Gulf we're watching is just under the clouds, right in the very center. It shows it on that tracking model. We're just going to have to watch and see what the wind shear does, but it's definitely heading north towards the Louisiana-Texas border. But this one right now, guys in Florida, you realize what you're dealing with here. Now, this thing at 40% chance can get past a tropical depression and a storm very quickly. Remember, Katrina formed as a hurricane once it came inland over South Florida, because both sides of the storm were in warm water. Now, look at the wind field patterns now. See how it's pushing back down along the Panhandle and out into the Gulf there? So that it's going to be fighting the northern pull and this east to west wind currents. Slow it down. This is called vorticity, the orange lines. And you can see right here in the last frames, that has all come ashore. And this is radar and the infrared overlaid together. But as it turns there and skips in the last frame, you can see that now you have a onshore storm as far as the center of location. It looks like it's there, but if you watch in the last few frames, it has, the center is now up and to the left of where those high clouds are. It's right in there. As we're watching this, look for increased activity from this storm because we're at the heat of the day. It's 1:37 p.m. Central Time, 2:37 on the East Coast. And you're showing, if you look at NOAA wind, the center of rotation onshore. And it's wrapping around very tightly. Out in the Gulf, you can see that the area of low pressure that we've been watching is not as tightly wrapped as it was. It's still in the warm water of the Gulf, so we're going to watch it. Then you got tropical storm Ian in the center, and this is the system coming off of Africa, guys, and it's a little further south than Ian, and that we need to watch because we have not had a major storm since Hurricane Ivan that formed that far out in the Atlantic. And Ivan was terrible, no pun intended, but it was terrible for the people in the panhandle of Florida in that area, all along that section of the Gulf Coast. Many people lost their lives, and things will never be the same there in many cases. But you've got the warmer water on both sides of Florida, and that's what that storm is going to be reaching for. Although a couple of the maps show it, a couple of spaghetti models show it pulling up into Georgia, you've got that sideways wind current. You're going to have the pull of the warmer water in the Gulf. Either way, it shows it recurve back into the Atlantic, come back above the Everglades, and go back into the Gulf. It's interesting, guys. Keep your heads up there in Florida. I know they haven't been talking much about this storm, but now it's getting so dangerous from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Don't let your guard down. Alabama, don't let your guard down. It's a heads up. Be safe.